Well, here we are. 200 miles later, and I am feeling victorious. Victorious after the first 6 days of doing 198 miles to average 33 a day. What felt like an unfathomable amount, I accomplished. Welcome back to what will probably be one of my favorite closeout convos, because every closeout convo is better after a victorious challenge. And that's what we have here today. When I saw on the calendar that the 200, there might be bugs out here throughout. When I saw on the calendar that the 200th week would fall starting on my birthday on June 15 and finishing today, June 21st, I thought to myself, what can I do to celebrate that week? And I felt like the answer is pretty easy. Run 200 miles. What better way to celebrate two things? Number one, the 200th consecutive 100 plus mile streak. That's celebration number one. Celebration number two, pushing myself to double the amount of mileage that I normally do by running 200 miles. I do have to admit, I stole this idea a little bit from somebody who I think a lot of people will know. He is a somewhat famous running influencer named Andy Glaze. He has me beat by 128 weeks in the 100 mile week streak. So right now he's at 328. Can tell you that for a fact. And back in December, I believe it was, he decided that he was going to do 300 miles because he was hitting his 300th week. So while I'm 128 weeks behind and there's really nothing that I can do to change that, I decided I'd have my own 100 milestone celebration. So here we are. How did we get here? Monday at 12 a.m., midnight. I ran from Siena Heights in Adrian, Michigan, a full marathon. So that got me a big chunk right there, and I decided I was gonna steal a day, meaning that I would basically run late Sunday nights to my body what actually felt like Sunday, sleep a little bit, and then do 2 more light runs on Monday. So we're at 41. Then Tuesday and Wednesday, I did the exact same thing. I did 13 at 6 a.m., 8-ish at 12:30 p.m., and then 9-ish at 8:30 p.m. So that got me a big chunk right there. That's like 31-ish. So now we're at 102-ish. So over halfway by Wednesday night, which was a great feeling. And then Thursday was my light day because I worked the full 8-hour day. Thankful I got most of work off this week. But that day I only did 22. So we're at 125. Then Friday, I did a 12 miler in the morning, 12 miler midday, and then a 9 miler at night. So now we're at 159 and a half, I think it was. And then yesterday, what was probably the hardest run of the whole thing, did 30 and a little bit of change. I actually finished right through the woods right over there. But starting in north of Ann Arbor, weaving through, I actually ran with Bram for, about a 5K, 6K, and then finished up to Chelsea through back roads. So that got me up to 190 basically. And then I did 8 and some change late last night. And then I just finished my last 2 miles on the Chelsea track. Great feeling. I decided I wanted to make it a touch harder by, instead of but of course it's hard, just doing 200 miles straight while balancing out the days, 28 half a day. I was like, I think that I can do 33 per day for 6 days. Go for 198 in 6 days. I think that I probably could have gone even further. I had a comment from Zach O I don't know how to say his last name, but he said, he was looking forward to week 300, which I've gotten that question throughout this week. Are you going to do 300? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We still got 100 weeks to go. For now, celebrating this week. Strangely, I would say the worst run that I felt outside of maybe yesterday was actually the Tuesday morning 13 that I did, because I think my body was just kind of in shock. And then after that, I was just kind of running slow. 8 to 8:30, I think I stayed within that range throughout the entire time, which I'm happy that I never went above 8:30. I thought I might have to, but was able to keep it together enough. I took 3 ice baths throughout the week, which helped a lot. Yeah, I would not have made it without those, genuinely. But yeah, then Wednesday, Thursday, I started to feel a little better. The best feeling run, which shocked me, was the Millennium Park run that I did in Grand Rapids on Friday afternoon. For whatever reason, I felt really good. I averaged like 7:55. It was actually probably the hottest run that I did. So I don't know where that came from or how I felt good, but we'll take it. But yeah, very proud. Feels amazing. Challenges always feel great, but this one, and Xander and Bram, my brothers, can attest to this, and Matt too, I'm sure. If I have a challenge circled for months on end and I kind of stew on it for a little bit, not a little bit, months, when the time comes, I'll usually rise to the occasion. If I kind of go into a challenge like, oh yeah, like this is kind of what I'm gonna want to do, like lukewarm about it, not gonna work. That's when things go wrong. But if I'm thinking about it for a while, sort of mentally preparing what it's gonna feel like, usually it goes well. And that's what we had this week. I had it all planned out the whole week, and I just said, you gotta stick to it. You can't make a 9-mile run a 5-mile run. Not doing any of that, because then I would have had to make it up later, right? So yeah, stayed disciplined and feels really good. I cannot wait to go back to a 100-mile week, gotta be honest. Next week, I actually had this thought that next week might be, well, definitely one of the tougher 100-mile weeks, but it might be extra tough just because coming off the high of this, but 100 miles on its own is still a challenge, right? So we'll see. I don't really have a plan for next week. I'm actually doing, a light recovery day today with only doing 2. We'll see how much I do tomorrow. But yeah, feels great. Thank you for following along if you did on Strava. Next week, I will be resuming my ranking of the top 10 runs, my top 10 favorite runs that I've done. We're gonna have number 4 and number 3 on next Sunday, June 28th. So, yeah. But here we are, 200 miles later. Hope you enjoyed following along. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. And we'll see you next week.